Not malicious, but misaligned. Utah's protective order system was created to prevent violence. That purpose is important and necessary, but over time something subtle has happened. The structure of the system has drifted. The result is a framework that can feel tilted even when everyone involved is acting in good faith. Here's the counterintuitive part. The system does not need malicious actors to become imbalanced. Incentives alone can produce that effect. Protective orders operate under a civil burden of proof. A petitioner must show that abuse occurred by a preponderance of the evidence. In plain language, that means more likely than not, 51%. That standard is not unusual in civil law, but consider what has changed over time. The definition of qualifying conduct has gradually expanded beyond physical violence to include threats, intimidation, and behavior creating reasonable fear. None of that expansion is irrational. Domestic abuse is not limited to broken bones. But as the definition broadens while the burden remains the same, the margin for error grows. Now add institutional incentives to that. If a judge denies a protective order and the petitioner later suffers harm, the consequences can be public and severe. Headlines follow. Careers can be affected. If a judge grants an order that later proves unnecessary, the harm is mostly private. The respondent may lose housing access, parenting leverage, or firearms rights, but the institutional consequences for the court are minimal. Over time, those incentives shape decision-making. In close cases, the safer institutional choice is obvious. Grant the order. Add procedural realities to that environment. Hearings are often brief. Discovery is limited. Respondents frequently appear without counsel. Cross-examination can be constrained by time if it takes place at all. And many hearings occur after an ex parte order has already been issued, which can subtly frame the dispute. None of these elements alone proves bias or misconduct, but together they create structural pressure. Expanded definitions of abuse, a low evidentiary threshold, strong appellate deference to credibility findings, short hearings driven largely by narrative. The cumulative effect is what many respondents experience as a system where the allegation itself carries momentum. Not malicious, misaligned. Recognizing that imbalance does not mean abandoning protection for genuine victims. Both truths can exist at the same time. Victims deserve protection. Accused individuals deserve disciplined application of the burden of proof. When a system begins prioritizing risk management over persuasion, confidence in the rule of law weakens. Recalibration does not require dismantling the protective order system. It requires reinforcing the principle that the burden of proof still matters, especially when liberty and reputation are at stake.